Hello and welcome back to Toast and Strawberry Jam. Today I'm going to do the mid-year book freakout tag. I was tagged by Emily from Books with Emily to do this tag. I'm very excited to do it. I will leave a link to Emily's channel in the description below, and I'm also going to leave links to the people that I am tagging in this tag in the description below as well. I'm definitely going to be tagging Shannon from Leaning Lights and Sydney from The Bibliophile. I'll leave links to their channels in the description below, and I might tag a couple of other people and I'll leave links to their channels below as well. So there are 15 questions, so this is probably going to go on for a little while, so I'm just going to try and just get in. I'm not going to talk too much about each book. I'm just going to try and be quite to the point about all of these. So the first question is the best book that you have read so far this year. And for me, it's probably not a surprise that this is going to be Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor. I absolutely loved the whole series, and I just think it's such a beautiful book. It's just so well written, it's so gripping. I really love it. If you haven't read this, I definitely recommend you read this one. And then the second question is the best sequel that you've read, and again, it's probably no surprise. I'm just going to go with the two books that come next in the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy, Days of Blood and Starlight and Dreams of Gods and Monsters. This trilogy is my favourite. It's the favourite thing I've read all year, and yeah, like I say, definitely would recommend reading this. Question number 3 is books released this year that you haven't read yet. So I haven't read Court of Thorns and Roses, which I do intend on reading, and I can't wait to get to that one. I know there's been some mixed reviews about that one, but I'm still going to give it a go to formulate my own opinion. That's on my Kindle, so I don't actually have a physical copy with me right here that I can show you. And then I've also got Trigger Warning by Neil Gaiman. I really love Neil Gaiman, and I like this one because it's a selection of short stories, and I know that I've got a challenge in my TBR jar to read a book that isn't a novel, so probably when that comes up I'm going to end up reading Trigger Warning. And also Armada by Ernest Cline. I picked this up a couple of days ago when I was in Waterstones, and yeah, I'm really excited to get to this. This is actually signed, or there's a plate in it that's been signed, so that's why I picked it up. So I'm really excited to read this one, and probably this is going to be on my TBR for next month. Question number 4 is most anticipated book of the year. This is quite a difficult one because the books I was kind of looking forward to the most were Armada and Trigger Warning, so they have already come out. I was also really looking forward to Darker Shade of Magic, which has also already come out. So really the only thing in my mind that's left to come out is the Welcome to Night Vale book. I'm really excited about that one. There's a couple of books as well that I'm interested in the series, but I couldn't really say that they were my most anticipated book because I haven't read any of the books from the series yet. So even though it's exciting that there are more books from that series coming out, I don't know that I'm really anticipating their publishing, because I haven't read the other books yet and I don't actually know whether I like them or not. So yeah, Welcome to Night Vale so far is the book that I'm most looking forward to. Number 5 is the biggest disappointment, and this again is probably not going to come as much of a surprise, and that is Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. I got so excited about reading this one. I loved the pictures in it. I loved the idea. I thought it was going to be amazing. You've heard me complain about this a lot, I'm sure, but I didn't like it. It really disappointed me, and the only reason I actually still have the book is because so far it is the only book that I have been really disappointed with, so it's just going to be showing up in a lot of videos until I find something else that I was disappointed with. It's a bit unoriginal, I know, but it's the only book this year that I've read that I've been really disappointed with, so there was nothing else for me to pick really. So sad times, but Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, that's disappointing for me. Question number 6 is the biggest surprise of this year, and for me that is We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. It's one of the first books I read this year, if not the first book I read this year. Again, it was on my Kindle, so I don't have a physical copy of it, but I will put some sort of graphic here for it. This was a surprise in 2 ways, not only because of the ending, but also because I wasn't expecting to like it. I think of myself more as a sort of fantasy reader, and so with it being contemporary I thought that I wasn't going to enjoy it, but I absolutely loved it. Really did. Would highly recommend it to anybody, and will probably be rereading it because it's just, I find it that I think that it could be really interesting to read again, just to see if there's any kind of like giveaways to the surprise at the end. So that one was really good ending. Totally wasn't seeing it coming, and really surprised that I liked it. Favourite new author for me, this is a new author to me, not a new author of the year, and that is V. Schwab, or Victoria Schwab. This is the first book of hers that I read, A Darker Shade of Magic, and I am just really excited to get more of her books. I am probably going to be picking up Vicious next, and I'm intrigued by The Archived as well. I think a couple of people didn't like that one so much, but I'm going to give it a go. I want to try it out, but I really love her. Another one who I'm really enjoying at the moment is Sarah J. Maas. I've not read anything by her yet. I'm currently reading Throne of Glass, and I am absolutely loving it. So I think that V. Schwab and Sarah J. Maas are going to be turning up in my TBRs in the upcoming months. So yeah, definitely those are my two favourites of this year. Question number 8, newest fantasy crush. I found this one quite difficult to choose someone because nobody like jumped to mind as soon as I heard this question. So I've picked one that maybe I was thinking while I was reading the book I was really wanting the main character to kind of like go for, and one that I was kind of like, yeah, okay, if I was her I'd probably be going for this person, and that is Jace from City of Bones. And obviously in the end it would be weird if they got together, but until that point I was like, definitely go like get with this guy, because I thought he was really he's kind of like mysterious and moody, but is like obviously like attractive, I guess. So Jace, I guess, would be my newest fantasy crush. Question number 10, newest favourite character. I have picked Caro from Daughter of Spoken Bone. She's just kicks ass. Like, she is awesome. I love Caro. She's really creative and like funny. She's like, she knows when to be serious. Like, she gets a lot of crap basically thrown at her throughout the whole book trilogy, and she like keeps pretty strong throughout the whole thing, and she just is like amazing. She's definitely my favourite character from this year, possibly of all time. I just love her. She's amazing. That was actually question number 9. This is question number 10. Question number 10 is book that made you cry this year, and for me this was The Book Thief. I listened to the audiobook of this and it was amazing. I listened to it on the bus and I finished it on the bus as well, so I got like the sad part on the bus, like the ending, and I was like snivelling and crying on the bus, and it was really embarrassing. I was like chewing my sleeve, like trying not to just like break down in floods of tears, because as far as everybody else was concerned I was just like listening to music and just sitting on the bus crying. So that was a bit embarrassing, but it was really good, and yeah, it made me cry a lot. I was like quite sad about that book. The next question is a book that made you happy, and this was another kind of difficult one because I was trying to kind of separate just the like general happiness that I feel when I'm reading from a book that actually kind of made me happy. And so a book that's made me happy this year is The Guest Cat. And so a book that's made me happy this year is The Guest Cat. And I don't know why, it was just a beautifully written book. It was like reading a painting. I really loved it. It was beautiful. I really enjoyed it, and yeah, I read it in one sitting, so it was really easy to get through. And yeah, read it if you haven't read it. Definitely read it. It's just beautiful. It's just a really beautiful book. Question number 12 is your favourite book adaptation. So for me, I couldn't think of any books that I had read the book and watched the film this year, and so I went for just a film that I had seen this year, or like a TV programme that I had seen this year. So last year I read Going Postal by Terry Pratchett, and then for Christmas I got the like Sky One TV show adaptation, and it was just really, really good. Yeah, there was a lot of stuff that was like, yeah, okay, that's exactly how I imagined it, and I really, really enjoyed it. It was really good fun. I think we watched it, it's like 2 episodes I think, and we watched it just back to back like a film, so it was really, really good, really entertaining, and I really enjoyed it. And I think that's the only adaptation that I've really watched this year that I've also read the book of. So apart from The Hobbit, I watched The Hobbit this year, but that's definitely not my favourite adaptation. Definitely Going Postal. Going Postal is definitely my favourite adaptation from this year. Question number 13 is the favourite video you've made this year, and this one's kind of difficult because I hadn't really thought about what my favourite video to make was, or anything like that. Like, it was a bit of a difficult one, so I guess I've got 2. The packing my suitcase video was quite fun to put together. I quite enjoyed editing that and things like that. And then the second one that was kind of like my favourite was the Jurassic Park or Jurassic World book tag that I created, because it was fun to think of the questions. I was chatting with my mum while I was trying to think of the questions, and she helped me out, and so we had fun thinking about the film and things like that, so that was really fun. Question number 14 is the most beautiful book that you've read this year. Now, I don't know whether this was a book that looks beautiful or a book that is beautiful, like the writing is beautiful and the topic is beautiful and things like that. So I picked one that went with both of those 2 things, and oh, look at that, it's Daughter of Smoke and Bone. I think that the covers of these hardbacks, I think these are like the American hardbacks, these are just beautiful. I love it, the way that it looks when you have them all lined up next to each other. I love the masks on the front. I love the colours, like the shades of the colours that have been picked. I just think they're absolutely beautiful. Then the writing in them is beautiful as well. The story is kind of, it's bloody in places and things like that, but it's so beautifully written. The like description of the characters is so vivid, like I can really see them in my head, and yeah, these are just so beautiful. I want to start reading them again now. And the final question is, what books would you like to read before the end of the year? So obviously I'm currently doing the TBR takedown, so I'm reading Throne of Glass. I'm going to be reading the second book in the Percy Jackson series. I'm going to be reading The Small Hand by Susan Hill, One Day in the Life of Ivan Denisovich, and The Tinderbox, which is a selection of short stories by Hans Christian Andersen. So I want to get those finished by the end of the month, let alone the end of the year. But I would also like to be reading Trigger Warning and Armada at some point before the end of the year. I want to read more books by Victoria Schwab, and I also want to read more in the Throne of Glass series, and I want to read the Mortal Instruments series and then the Infernal Devices series after that. So just those, and then everything else that's on my TBR shelf. So it's not like there's a lot, right? There's a lot of books I want to read before the end of the year, a lot. And I guess you'll just have to tune in to my future TBRs to find out which of them I'm going to read. Ha ha ha. Shameless plug. So there we go, that's it for this tag. 15 questions. I will write them in some form in the description below, and again, like I say, I'm going to put links to the person who tagged me, Emily, and also to the people that I am tagging in the description below, so do check those out. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye! That's going to look really stupid at the end of the video right there, isn't it? Yeah.